5 minutes rebuttal from Professor Chadwick.
Do I get an extra 30 seconds? Just kidding.
You're going to have 30 extra seconds.
Alan mentioned that we know, he says we know, an absolute term, that the unborn is separate from the mother. Now, I can't help but sort of smile at that idea because he might know that the people who touched my pregnant belly when I walked around the world, when I was carrying a child, might also think that that baby was separate, that they weren't actually touching part of my body when they were fondling it, strangers at will. But it's an interesting concept considering the fact that my body rejected my pregnancy. I was so sick my entire pregnancy. When I was 4 months pregnant, I had lost 15 pounds, and I don't have a lot to lose anyway. So to say that the fetus is separate from the mother is a really interesting idea. I only wish that the fetus would have been separate from me at that point, and I still could have provided it with all of the nutrients that it needed to survive and reach full term. Because the truth of the matter is that fetus was not separate from my body. It was very much a part of my body. That fetus went everywhere with me. That fetus ate everything that I ate. That fetus survived because I survived. If I would have been killed in a car accident, that fetus would have also died. If it was, prior to viability, most certainly. So the idea that we can somehow separate the two is a really interesting theoretical experiment, but the reality of women's bodies and women's experiences speak to the fact that these things are connected. These are one and the same, and that's the beauty of pregnancy, of being connected to that unborn life. Of course I cannot deny it's a life. Of course I cannot deny that it's human. These things are true, but we also have to acknowledge the other life in question, which is the life of the woman, and we cannot continue to say that the state ought to control the decisions that women can and should make with their bodies, especially with the constant and pervasive threat of rape, the threat of incest. I get stories every single semester from students who anonymously tell about being raped, about being the victims of rape on this campus, at parties on this campus. And if that threat continues and women are facing the issue of unwanted, unplanned pregnancies, we cannot make these categorical prohibitions about what a woman can and can't do with her body, because the truth of the matter is that after that baby is born, whose responsibility is it to take care of that child? Is the state then going to pay for the diapers? Is the state going to pay for the food? Is the state going to pay for childcare so that you can go back to work? And the reality and the answer is no. So if we are going to provide, if we are going to create a law that says that women are not do not have control over family planning, do not have control over lack of information to even contraception to prevent unwanted pregnancies, and then require a woman to carry that child to term, regardless of whether or not there's a father around, and then say that she has to then care for that life for 18 plus years, I think that we are overstretching our boundaries. And especially if any of you in here are concerned about liberty and freedom from state intervention, then this might set off some alarm bells for you. Because the moment that we start letting the government into the most personal, the most intimate decisions that are made between people, it leads way to opening the door to more state intervention in things that, in theory, you might be for the state intervening when it comes to telling women what they can and can't do with their bodies. But I assure you that if we lay the groundwork to change, the rights of the fetus and grant them full fetal personhood, and the state is invested in maintaining that life is protected, how is the state going to regulate that protection and make sure that any woman who's carrying a pregnant fetus is not endangering the life of that fetus? If a woman puts herself in a dangerous situation, and maybe she's a runner and she likes to run and she's run throughout her whole pregnancy, and she's running one day and she trips and she falls and she miscarries. She was irresponsible. She wasn't taking care of that life. She wasn't protecting it. And the state demands protection for that fetus. And so the woman could be charged. Also, I would add to this notion of the separation of woman and fetus in the cases of, driving in the carpool lane or being imprisoned. The fetus is innocent, as Alan has pointed out. When a woman goes to prison and she's pregnant, does the fetus get to have its freedom? No, the fetus is ultimately in prison too. We cannot deny that it's a life, but we can also not deny that the woman's life is what is sustaining the life of the fetus.